Hello, dear friends. Today, I want to start telling the story of one of the most beloved and, at the same time, tragic characters in the world of Demon Slayer, Kanao Tsuyuri. This story is like a journey. It begins in the depths of darkness and sorrow and gradually moves toward light and hope. When we think about heroes, most of us imagine them as strong and fearless from the very beginning. But for Kanao, the story was completely different. She was born into a home filled with poverty and violence. Imagine a small, cold house where instead of children's laughter, the sounds of shouting and beating echo constantly. Her parents, instead of being a safe haven, were more like a nightmare. Kanao wasn't even allowed to cry. Every tear, every sound meant punishment. She learned little by little to remain silent, like a statue. Worse yet, she often saw her siblings go to sleep at night and never wake up in the morning. These nightmares were far too heavy for such a little girl to bear. And that's how her tiny heart shut down. There were no more feelings left. It was as if the only way to survive was to become numb. Years passed until one day, fate played a cruel game with her. Kanao was treated like an object, sold as a slave. A rope was tied around her waist, and she was dragged along. Imagine a small girl with wounded feet and empty eyes being pulled through the streets without even being able to make a single choice. That day might have been the darkest moment of her life. But right there, like a miracle, a small light appeared. Two kind sisters, Kane Kocho and Shinobu Kocho, came into her path. They looked and saw this little girl, with the rope and lifeless eyes, being taken away. Shinobu quickly came up with a plan. She scattered some coins on the ground. The slave trader, tempted, bent down to collect them, and at that very moment, Kanao's rope came undone. It was a strange feeling. For the first time in a long while, she touched something like freedom. Shinobu smiled and said, "From today, you come with us." And just like that, Kanao's destiny took a big turn. Kanai and Shinobu brought Kanao to the Butterfly Mansion. A place full of peace, filled with the scents of medicine and flowers, where everyone worked to heal and help each other. For someone like Kanao, who had only heard the sounds of violence, this house felt like heaven. But one problem still remained. Kanao couldn't even decide whether to eat or not, or respond to anyone. She had been so hurt that it seemed no will remained in her. Seeing this, Shinobu gave her a coin and said, "If you can't make a decision, flip this. Heads or tails will tell you what to do." From that day on, the coin became everything for her. Whenever she didn't know what to do, she flipped it. If it was heads, yes. If tails, no. Kanao was now in a safe environment. No one would raise a hand at her, no more screams or fear. But the main problem remained. She still couldn't make her own choices. Whenever Kane or Shinobu asked her something, she just silently stared. That's why Shinobu gave her that famous coin. From that day forward, whenever someone asked, "Do you want to eat?" or "Will you join practice?" Kanao flipped her coin. In a way, the coin became her second language. Yet, something interesting happened. Despite all the silence and numbness, Kanao soon revealed her unique talent. Kane taught her how to breathe properly, how to harmonize her body with nature. This style was called flower breathing. A beautiful style full of soft and graceful movements, as if you were dancing with your sword. When Kanao practiced, her body moved smoothly and effortlessly. Even she was surprised at how coordinated she could be. Others watching her felt as if petals were swirling around her. It didn't take long for everyone to realize that this girl, despite her silence, had enormous potential. One important day came, the final selection test. This was the trial that anyone wanting to join the Demon Slayer Corps had to pass, surviving 7 days alone in a forest full of demons. Imagine a small, silent girl, who even used a coin to make simple choices, now had to enter a deadly forest and fight to survive. But what happened next was amazing. Kanao, without telling anyone, decided for herself to enter the trial. For the first time, not with a coin, but with her heart, she made a choice. There, everyone saw her talent. Her speed, precision, and synchronized breathing made the demons fall one by one. 7 days passed, and Kanao emerged from the forest alive. After this trial, Kanao officially became one of the Demon Slayers. Imagine how big that moment was. A girl who once couldn't even decide what to eat had now made her own choice and succeeded. But her journey was far from over. She still had to learn to fight not just with her sword, but with her heart as well. One day, Tanjiro Kamado came to the Butterfly Mansion to recover after his own battles, and it was the first time he met Kanao. Tanjiro, unlike Kanao, was full of energy, emotion, and honesty. Everything he said came from his heart. That contrast was the first thing everyone noticed. When Tanjiro asked her something, Kanao gave the same short, usual answer. She just said, "Goodbye." But Tanjiro found it strange. He felt that behind her silence, there was a big story. When Tanjiro realized Kanao used a coin for everything, he was amazed. That day, when he wanted to say goodbye, Kanao flipped her coin out of habit. But Tanjiro stopped her and said firmly, "Your life shouldn't depend on heads or tails. You need to make your own choice." That sentence sparked something in Kanao's heart. For the first time, someone told her firmly, "You matter." Slowly, by being around Tanjiro, Kanao began to listen to her own feelings. Next to him, her heart beat differently. She began to experience things she had suppressed for years: surprise, small laughs, even worry. She realized that maybe she could still make choices, not with a coin, but with her heart. Kanao was no longer just a quiet girl. Despite her calm appearance, she showed how serious and strong she had become in battles. Every time she drew her sword, her movements were like petals dancing in the wind. Others watching couldn't believe this was the same girl who once couldn't take a single step on her own. Tanjiro and her friends slowly realized that Kanao was not only strong but incredibly smart. Her silence allowed her to observe, learn, and act more precisely. After intense training, Kanao began participating in missions as one of the Demon Slayers. Every time she entered the battlefield, she showed how precise and fast she was. Her movements were like petals dancing, but behind that beauty hid strength and courage. One of the most decisive battles came when she faced a high-ranking demon. A demon cruel, strong, and deadly, and more importantly, the one who had wounded Kanao's past. In that battle, Kanao was not alone. Her sister, Shinobu, was present, but the battlefield is always full of sacrifices. What happened there dealt a heavy blow to Kanao's heart. Losing someone who was like a mother and sister to her shattered her frozen heart. Yet this was what ignited a fire within her. This time, it was no longer about heads or tails. This was a real choice. She had to fight not just for herself, but for the loved ones she had lost. Kanao fought with all her strength. Every move precise and calculated, as if scattering the petals of the final chapter of her life across the ground. But this battle wasn't just against a demon, it was also a battle within herself. For the first time, not because of orders, not because of luck, but with all her being, she decided, "This battle is my choice." So, after the fierce battles, Kanao, like the other heroes, carried wounds and pain. But the important thing is that from all that darkness, she finally found her way toward the light. Alongside Tanjiro and her other friends, she learned that life isn't just about fighting. Sometimes you have to choose to live, love, and fight for a better future. And that very choice changed her destiny. We saw a girl who rose from darkness and numbness, learned to make her own choices, and showed courage in the toughest battles. For many, Kanao is a symbol that even if your past is full of pain, you can create a future full of blossoms. And now a question for you. Which part of Kanao's life inspired you the most? Her tough childhood and survival? Learning to trust herself? Or the courage she showed in battles? Write your thoughts in the comments. Stories become even more beautiful when everyone shares them.